right? So let's say we're Jim and we're solving for CRM and ERP solutions. We could say, or he could say, which he hasn't. It's like it could be, BrainSell, something, 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 ERP and CRM solutions. And that would work. That'd be reasonably good because he's got the keywords that he's solving for in the page title. What would be better is to move the keywords that he cares about, the beginning, the very first sequence of words in the page title should be the keyword that you're optimizing for that you went through that exercise on. So I will tell you this. We've worked with now thousands of companies. If you're in a niche enough business, right, where you're not competing against Nike, you're not going up against online casinos, you're not going up against massive brands. If you're a niche, you're a law firm, you're a management consulting firm, you're a value-added reseller, whatever it happens to be, the simple act of getting your keyword into the page title and making it some of the either the earliest or early, that in of itself will get you ranking usually within the first couple of pages if you're in a niche enough industry. And the reason is because so few people know this. It's not that hard to do. In terms of changing the page title, just go through the mental exercise of picking your keywords, pick them and get them in there. It works. It's like the closest thing to free traffic you're going to get. Any questions, everybody? Yes. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I actually have I have a 2-hour session where I have a chart essentially that shows you this kind of nonlinear drop-off. So I think somewhere around 83% of the clicks, we'll call it 80 just to be less granular, go to the first 3 results essentially, and then it starts to drop off, and then very small, it's usually less than 5% go to the second page essentially. So most of the traffic is consolidated into the first three results, not even the first page, just the first 3 results. So it's important to try and rank as close to the number 1 position because you get this nonlinear jump in traffic that you're going to get. Yes?
One of the questions in reference to when you look at the Google results, you know how they have the shaded area at the very top?
Yes.
How do you rank that versus top 1, 2, and below that? And also, part 2.
Yep.
Right-hand column.
Okay, so 2 things. The question is, how do we, consider the shaded parts that show up at the very top of the Google search results, usually in pale yellowish, and then the right-hand results. So both of those are what are known as paid results. So when you're searching on a specific phrase, the people that are in yellow and the people that are along the right paid to be there. The amount they paid varies based on how popular that keyword is. So it's a real-time auction. So if you want to rank for open source CRM, you can pay Google to say, oh, I'm willing to pay $14.86 a click. I'm guessing that might be what the price is or whatever. That's what you have to pay per click. The issue, though, a couple of issues. Number one is you have to pay for it, right? And those prices vary literally in real time. The second issue, which is interesting, is that about 90% of the clicks that happen on the Google search results page happen to the non-paid or organic listing. So it's the 10 below the top 3, kind of, if there are any shaded results or whatever. It's a non-sponsored, non-paid results get most of the traffic, like 90-ish%. There's a fair amount of data to back that up. So yes, you could buy your way in through Google AdWords. You're paying money, which is fine if you can create the return, which lots of people do. But you're going to get much more traffic if you kind of succeed at the organic, and it's much more sustainable. So the issue is if you can have a $5,000, $10,000, $100,000 million budget for Google AdWords, which is fine. It's like, oh yeah, I'm looking to reach these people that are searching on this term, and I'm going to buy my way into the Google search results. The issue is that the price varies, right? So you might determine and say, oh, you know what? I know, having done all the data analysis, that I can afford to pay $23 a click, $23.10 a click, because here's the conversion rate, here's how much money I make for those customers, so I can create a return, I can create a profit by paying up to this amount. And so you spend budget, you buy your way in, that's all good. Up until the day you wake up one morning, it's like, well, what happened? Now the price per click went up to $36. Not overnight. It just happens that you were sleeping. It actually happened in real time because it's a real-time auction. And so the issue is that buying your way into the Google search results, although effective in the short run, in the long run is very unpredictable, and the prices can and do fluctuate because the market becomes more and more efficient over time. More and more people are entering your industry. The nice thing about organic results, doing the search engine optimization stuff, it's harder. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to make this sound easy. But it's much more sustainable. So once you start ranking, if you're on position 5 in Google, it's highly unlikely that some company is going to wake up someday and just displace you, because Google's looking at it. Takes time for Google to figure out what the quality results are. So it's very rare for someone to go from nowhere and just sneak up on you and then all of a sudden take your top ranking position. You'll see them creeping up. You can look every day, every week, every month. It's like, oh yeah, there's a competitor out on the West Coast. I can see them moving up the Google search results, and you have a chance to do something about it. All right, so we're doing on time. We're doing great. And one of the upsides to talking so fast is we get to a fair amount of content. All right, so quick thing. This is a free tool, so I don't, and I happen to write it, so I'll promote it. So we have a free tool called a website grader, and it hangs off a website called grader.com, G-R-A-D-E-R. And it goes through, you put your website's URL in, and it gives you a grade, a score from 0 to 100, and it tells you how well you're doing from an inbound marketing perspective. It's been used by millions of sites now. It's actually more than this number here, and it's relatively useful. So for those of you that have not used it, I highly encourage it. Gives you useful information around how much traffic you're getting, how many links you have, whether you're doing something that's just fundamentally wrong from an SEO perspective, and gives you a score. And you can see how your score is moving over time. All right, closing out on the SEO stuff. Once people start getting into search engine optimization, they go out, hire a consultant, or do it internally. One of the mistakes that they make is thinking too much about the Google bots. And it's like, oh, if I craft my title just this way, it'll be perfect, and it occurs 2.7 times in the body of my text or whatever, and they take it too far. The reality is you need to put in, like, the best search engine optimization is when you can create content that Google wants to send you traffic because you're making Google's users happy. Google's users, as in all of you, right? You're using Google every day. You want the search results to be good. Google wants the search results to be good. Your job as a marketer, as an SEO person, let's say if that's what you're doing, is to help Google deliver good quality search results. And part of that is making it easy, structuring the website well. There's lots of stuff about that in the book as well. And the second part is just putting useful content out there. So that's search stuff. All right, so we're going to talk now about content creation. So it's one thing to optimize, and we're going to talk a fair amount about this, and we'll talk about both content creation in terms of blogging, which is one of the most common ways to put fresh content out there. As it turns out, Google loves blogs. Loves blogs. And I'll tell you why. So part of what makes Google so special is that they're essentially creating this efficient market for information. So, and I mean the efficient market in terms of microeconomics. So if you look at eBay, how many people have heard of eBay, right? You guys know you've used eBay. You have thousands that use eBay. Sell stuff, buy stuff. So what eBay did was said, oh, well, if you're they create an efficient market for physical goods. That says, oh, if you were making stainless steel wrenches for left-handed plumbers and you were sitting out in China and your customers happened to be in Scandinavia, eBay made it possible, took the inefficiency or some of the inefficiency out of that market and brought the buyer and seller together. And made that transaction possible, made the market more efficient than it was. Google does the exact same thing for information. Right? That says, oh, if there is a great blog article that talks about the 14 top ways for small businesses that are evaluated resellers to optimize their website, if there's a brilliant blog article out there somewhere that someone wrote, and there's someone looking for that blog article, that specific kind of content, Google, as a search engine, brings those two parties essentially together. So the creator of the content and the person that's looking for that content. That's what Google does. It's like a PayPal for information, essentially. And the reason that's important is that, and the reason Google loves blogs is that blogs, almost by definition, have this kind of recurring content. There's new content, there's fresh content, and it's very democratic. It's like very easy to start a blog now. Anybody can write a blog, and millions of people do. And so the idea is that if you can say something useful, Google rewards that fresh content. If you have a website that you haven't changed in 9 months, for a year, for 2 years. Google doesn't like that. And the reason Google doesn't like that is like, well, that's kind of stale information. They have learned over time that people value stale information less. It doesn't have to be like daily or weekly or something like that, but if it's a year and a half old, Google's like, okay, well, that's been out there. You really haven't been updating. You haven't been helping the Google cause. The Google monster essentially consumes content. It loves, that's what it lives on, is all this content. If you're not producing that content, Google does not reward you. So blog is a great way to get started.